Hi there, I'm Adrienne Wilkinson. You know me as Maris Brood from The Force Unleashed and the daughter from Clone Wars, and you are watching the Wolf Pack podcast.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to the Wolfpack podcast again. And today we have a very, very special guest. You know her as Maris Brood and the daughter, and that is Adrienne Wilkinson.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Well, yeah, it's
Oh,
awesome.
thank,
So we're gonna go
thank you for
ahead and
coming on.
yeah, thank you very much. So we're going to start off with some questions. We're going to start with Marco's question. So go ahead, Marco.
So what got you into voice acting, or your start in voice acting?
What got me into voice acting? I kind of fell into it. You know, I was an on-screen actress first, and I was just introduced to a voiceover agent. We just decided to give it a go, and you know, I had done a lot of ADR, which is audio replacement, like having to redo your lines, particularly when you do fight scenes or if you're filming outdoors. Usually that means you have to go into a voice booth and redo your dialogue just to make it perfect for sound quality. So I kind of came into it having a bit of a background, but yeah, I just sort of fell into it and I loved it. It's a different kind of acting in a sense. What I like the most about it is that you have much less far fewer limitations on the types of characters you can play. Since you're not limited to just how you look, you can play different ages, different creatures, etc., and so forth. So that's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Really cool.
Logan, your question?
Yeah. Do you feel that the character Maris Brood was underused in The Force Unleashed?
Of course I do. For multiple reasons. I mean, you know, of course, you know, I'm obviously biased, but she's such an awesome character, and I mean, really, they just barely scratched the surface with her. And you know, rumor is that if they had done a third game, that Maris was supposed to be the focus. And I don't actually
Man.
know how. I know. I don't know exactly how much truth it is, but I heard that from very good sources, so I assume that it was true. But more than that, what I know for certain is that her backstory was just absolutely incredible. I mean, you know, they gave me pages and pages of her history and just all of this information about her. And it really is just a bummer that it didn't end up on screen. I mean, I think a bit of it ended up in some of the books and, you know, probably other information within the Star Wars universe. But in terms of being on screen, I just think they barely scratched the surface with her. And she was, you know, she's like an onion. She had so many layers, and you just, you know, you only had like the first two layers that you saw. You know, you saw a bit of the good side, and then you saw her losing her mind. You saw her going insane and you know, flirting with the dark side and just sort of losing her identity. So, oh my God, there's so much they could still do with her, and so much that hasn't been covered. So, you know, I have hope. I have hope that she'll come back. I've also heard, I believe that Rebels takes place during the same time frame. So I would love it if she could appear that way. So, you know, crossing fingers that something happens.
Without a doubt,
that would be very
great.
cool.
That'd be awesome.
Right?
Because
See, let's campaign for that.
yeah, the gameplay with Starkiller and Maris, that was like one of my favorite parts of that game.
Right? I know. I mean, she was kick-ass, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm proud of the work, but I'm also just really well, I have a bit of a love for her, and I hope that she's able to come back in some form. So crossing fingers.
Has anyone made you any like custom lightsaber hilts for Maris? Because does she kind of have like, it's like a nightstick almost kind of? It's been a while since I played.
Kind of. Her weapons were based off of tonfas, Japanese tonfas.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But yeah, as my dad is a retired policeman, and my dad was totally thrilled to see that she had, you know, I think they call them P9s or something. I don't know, but but yes, basically nightsticks. He was very impressed with that.
That is awesome.
And no one has made me one. Granted, I haven't asked anybody to, but no, I haven't had any personal ones made, but I have seen some really fantastic ones at fan events. I've seen some really great cosplayers with fantastic Maris, you know, head to toe, including her weapons.
Yeah, they always come come through with making costumes like down to like the littlest details and everything.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, the amount of time and energy and just the skill it takes to make the costumes that accurate is incredible.
Definitely. That I've seen some, yeah, great cosplays, especially at the celebrations. They've done great ones. But Chris, your question?
Yeah. Jumping in the Clone Wars here for a second. You portrayed the embodiment of light side of the Force, and you also played the Dark Jedi. Who was like the best one to act as, or you had more fun with?
Without a doubt, and I can say this throughout my entire career, it is always more fun to play bad. Good just automatically has limitations. I mean, you have boundaries that you can't cross or else it's inauthentic and not believable. But with bad, if your character already has, skewed morals or, just comes to it from that sort of place, their motivations are completely different. So you have so much more freedom in terms of how extreme you can go, how just the presentation of the character. So without a doubt, it's always more fun to play bad. But, playing good, you usually end up playing more authentic and more true. So it's a different sort of challenge. So I like both of them. But in terms of actual fun, it's always fun to play bad.
Yeah, for sure. You know that they actually released the action figure of Maris.
I did know. I have one, in fact.
Awesome. That's a
Very
good
cool.
one. I think. They never released the daughter action figure. That would have been cool. But my question is, in Force Unleashed, the first game, after Starkiller and Maris fight each other, Starkiller lets Maris escape. What do you think happens to her? Do you think she's still very much in the dark side, or what do you think happens to her?
I mean, granted, this is my opinion, so I don't take this as gospel, but my personal belief is that Maris, and I also fill this in with the backstory that I was told, but I don't think that Maris is someone who, if the circumstances were different, would have gone to the dark side. Mm-hmm. Maris was someone who had lost everyone. Everyone she knew had been killed, and she was by herself on a planet going crazy. And I think, just naturally that amount of fear and paranoia, I just think that starts to erase the boundaries that you
Right.
did have. And I think that, you're put in a place where suddenly you're just terrified. So the confusing thing with Maris is not knowing where she went after. And I think that would have entirely determined whether she went full dark side or whether she came back, to the light. I think it's entirely about where she ended up and whether, she was again, living in society or whether she was in hiding, just all of that. And it's a real mystery to me. I mean, she obviously has the power and she's a very smart character and super calculated. So if she wants to be full dark side, she's going to be a challenge and, a force to be reckoned with. But,
Definitely.
but yeah, I mean, I wish I knew too. So I'm really excited to hopefully see something more of her in the future and, answer that mystery.
Definitely. Now with Force Unleashed and the daughter, as you play both, and great acting. For the sequel trilogy coming out, obviously they're doing the casting calls now, which was confirmed today by Lucasfilm. So, my question is, do you plan to audition for the new Star Wars films?
I wish that I had any control over that whatsoever. I'm sure every actor in the universe is saying that exact same thing. Obviously, if I was given the opportunity, I would jump at it in a heartbeat. I mean, just being part of the Star Wars universe has been amazing. It's been fun and exciting and challenging and interesting. And, the stories are always multi-layered and bigger than even just what you see on screen. And, I would in a heartbeat jump at that chance. But, that's sort of above my pay grade in a sense. That's not something that I have direct control over. That's, producers and casting directors and all of that. So, hopefully someone will bring me in because I would jump at it. Absolutely.
Right. Now this casting call is a little bit different. I know it's an international search.
It's an open casting
it's an
call.
open casting call. So anybody can go. They're two descriptions, one of a woman and a man they're looking for. So.
Well, I'm certainly open to the idea. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know enough about it to be giving you a very good answer at this point, but I don't know. Sometimes I think those are just publicity stunts and they don't actually intend to cast that way.
Right.
Or, I mean, who knows? I have no idea. I don't mean to, to rain on anybody's parade because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll be the lead in the film. I have no idea. But through whatever circumstance, if given the chance, I would love to.
That would be great. All right, Marco, your next question.
Can you give me 1 second? I'm in like the middle of a really good one. Just need more time to think about how to say it. But.
All right.
All right, I can take one.
All right, Logan, go ahead.
Were you in any talks to return to the role of Maris Brood in The Force Unleashed 2 or any other Star Wars projects that just fell through, or was there anything like that?
It's not really talked so much. It's just kind of about how they do the animation. I mean, technically speaking, I was in The Force Unleashed 2, but I think it was only in the Wii version. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, not even technically speaking. I did voice work for that, but I did like smaller ancillary characters, and I think Maris Brood herself was only in the Wii version of the game. And like I said, the third game was just rumors at that point. Like they decided against it before anything was permanent. But I had been told by multiple people that knew what was happening, that Maris would be back and she would get, her full due, because everybody loved that character. Luckily it was not just me, but, all of the designers and the animators, like everyone was a fan of Maris and, a fan of the possibilities for the character. So, I think everybody was a little bit disappointed that she didn't have, a bit more life. But again, who knows? It could all come back around.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah. Have you watched any of like the Clone Wars series at all? The episodes you were in?
I did see the episodes that I was in. I've seen a couple of others, but I was not a weekly watcher. Please don't hold that against me.
Oh no.
But mainly, I mean, I was always impressed with that show just because of how extraordinary the animation was. I mean, the episodes I was involved in particular, I thought were so beautiful. Just the style of animation, and I'm completely blanking out on who the inspiration was, but there was I want to say it was like a French architect that was the inspiration for the designs of the characters and the designs of the planet where they lived. And I just thought it was gorgeous. It had a real kind of Art Deco feel, and just, you can sort of, it crossed those lines between, just art and entertainment. It fully fleshed out both, which was, extra awesome to be a part of. So I love that.
Now, like that arc, for a lot of fans and a lot of watchers, it's very confusing what's going on there. Did they give you any in-depth into what's going on there? I don't know if you're allowed to say anything or not, but I feel we never really got closure on what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know that I can bring a lot more inspiration to it. I think, it was a totally insular experience, meaning the episodes completely stood on their own and were not necessarily meant to, affect the other plot points going around them. They were not expecting to come back to those characters. But mainly we were just told that these 3 episodes were basically telling the entire story of the films within these 3 episodes. Just that it was the fight between light and dark, that it was, it was basically a metaphor for the balance that you're always fighting for. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the main thing. Talk about talk about not be intimidated. You're playing the Force. Already overwhelming, but then also, that you're potentially, representing the entire property. So, it was kind of intimidating, but I find with projects like this, you just can't take any of it personally. You just have to do the best work that you can and not try to think of the end result or the overarching, pieces that are beyond your control. You just have to focus purely on the work that you're doing. So that's kind of what we did. I mean, I was mostly focused on, how exciting it was to record with everyone because I've done a lot of voice work, but it's a really rare opportunity that you get to actually record with the rest of the cast. Most shows, and certainly almost all video games, are filmed individually. So you just film purely your part by yourself. Occasionally, you get to hear what the other actors have recorded if they've already recorded anything, but most of the time, it's just a reader who's giving you the background of the scene so that the type of reactions that you need to be having and the presentation of the material. But this was such a blessing to get to actually work with the entire cast in a room, starting at the start and ending at the end. It was in order. It was, living that experience. And I think that it makes the work that much better, and it certainly makes the experience that much better.
Now, in Clone Wars, who did you get to work with? Cast and crew. Who did you get to work with and meet and stuff like that?
I feel practically everyone. Obviously, Sam and I were there together. It's almost easier to tell you who I didn't work with because in terms of, I didn't get to work with Tom Kane, because he does all of his recording from the Midwest. And Kat Tabor was not in that episode, but pretty much all of your regulars were there.
Right.
So, everybody else, we got to work with for the day or for the couple of days. So yeah, it was great.
Very cool.
And obviously, a lot of people talk very highly about the awesome Dave Filoni. So how did your experience with Dave?
Oh, I adore him. He's so lovely. He was super fun to work with. It's also exciting when someone knows the property that well that they can tell you without any hesitation exactly what's working, exactly if something needs to be tweaked. And luckily, it's always, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but it's great when the work that you are doing is the work that they want and need. So it turned out to be kind of easy for Sam and I because what we were delivering was exactly what they were wanting. So it wasn't a frustrating experience at all. It was actually really great and really sort of seamless. And, that made it even more fun. And it allowed us to push the boundaries a little bit more and sort of, experiment a little with the performance and just really see what worked, which was great. And, he's just lovely. He's completely fun and casual, and he's not intimidating. And yet he's completely, he's such a professional that you're in good hands. So yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. All right, Marco, your question?
All right. As we all know, Maris' species is also Darth Maul's species, the Zabrax. So do you think there's a reason for, why mostly all the Zabrax we have seen have been, evil?
My answer is completely not going to have
Sorry,
any...
it's just, I just realized that was kind of an EU question. But
no, totally. I was going to say I'm probably going to disappoint because I have no information. The only thing I can say is I think that they're evil. I think it's more likely that they lean evil than others, particularly because they look so cool when they do it. So, I think when you're casting or when you're doing design for a film or when you're putting characters together for animation, I just think that looks so good on screen that I think naturally that's the way you want your story to sort of, you want it to curl that direction. So, I mean, I have absolutely no idea if that's actually how they made their decisions, but I mean, I know that would certainly influence me.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer.
Oh, sorry, Marco, go ahead.
Oh, thanks for your answer.
Oh, you got it. And yeah, thanks for putting the time into it.
Now, obviously, Sam voices, the son and Darth Maul in the Clone Wars. If you could kind of pick any character in the Clone Wars, or if you wanted to play a future role in Rebels, who would you want to play, in the Clone Wars? And if you want to play somebody in Rebels, who would you want to play?
Oh gosh, that's always such a killer question. So, I mean, it really is. It's so it's overwhelming. I would jump at the chance to play something in Rebels. I would love it if it happened to be Maris, because I would love to know what happens to Maris. But if not, I would like it to be someone entirely new that's never been seen in the universe before, that is just full of surprises. I mean, I like to play characters that are, more than meets the eye. Mm-hmm. That that you sort of, the longer you know them, I like it when characters are unexpected.
Right.
So, something that is, either has a really amazingly rich history or, is in the middle of some sort of conflict and is having to make choices that, that bring out sides of the character that you weren't expecting. Just something like that makes the work even more fun because it's, it's challenging in multiple ways,
Right. And for like when you were in voicing Maris, what was the difference between kind of doing like, because they had to put what was it, they had to capture your movements in Force Unleashed, so how was that different from actual voice acting in the Clone Wars?
Maybe the comfort level was different because we were covered in these weird silver dots that were glued to our faces. So that was weird, and this weird like sort of crown thing that was super uncomfortable. The great part about that is that we were acting, similar to the Clone Wars. The lead actors, we were all able to work with each other. So we were there in the room reading with one another, so that the performances had a real feel. So it wasn't just, you weren't having to do it all through imagination, but you actually had another actor to work off of. And I think that made the performances so much better, and it certainly made the experience of recording it better. Oh gosh, but how is it different otherwise? I mean, I don't know. They were both such great experiences, but the difference I think was purely we were allowed, of course, more movement because the way that they had the room set up was differently. In the Clone Wars, you have a specific mic that is set, and you have to, you're required to stay within, like 3 inches to be able to hit the sweet spot of the mic. But in the Force Unleashed, they wanted us to have that movement because the movement needed to, accurately affect the movement on screen.
Right.
So, there were multiple mics set up. So we had more freedom of movement so that the scenes played out more real. But other than that, I mean, it was similar.
Right. Just like moving around was different.
Right.
All right, Logan, your question?
Yeah, what was your relationship? Excuse me. I'll redo that question.
Okay.
What was your relationship to the Star Wars universe like before you worked on The Force Unleashed and Clone Wars?
It was limited. I always feel disappointing when I admit that, but that's the truth. I mean, I had, of course, seen the movies growing up, and I had, of course, it's a pop culture phenomenon. You can't be unaware of it. But I was, I was a pretty girly girl growing up. And I was, the within a household where I was the sister of another sister, and so we didn't have a lot of that sort of fandom within the house. So I missed part of it, which has been really kind of exciting. It's like a second introduction, a second childhood in a funny way, in terms of now being part of it and getting this fully immersed experience every time I'm at a convention or anything like that. So yeah, it was kind of a second blessing in that not only am I part of the universe now, but I am part of this group of people that are the uber fans. So I'm getting the full experience in this totally different way, which is exciting and fun and, certainly unexpected for me.
That's awesome. Alrighty, Logan, do you have another question?
Let me see here. I know we kind of already touched on this, but what are your thoughts on working with Sam Witwer?
Sam Witwer's such a jerk. I just can't stand him. No, I'm kidding. Sam is amazing. I adore Sam. He and I work, not only do we work well, but we work in a very similar fashion. Like, in terms of acting, we come at it, I think, from a similar place. And we definitely have very similar personalities. Like, we're both very type A, and, he's the kind of person that I love to work with because we just gel. But creatively, I was so excited to work with him because first of all, he is a total super fan, of course, as you know. So, he was just this wealth of information, and he had such enthusiasm for the project, which just also increased my enthusiasm. And, it meant that his performance was really brave. He kept really pushing the boundaries, and that made my performance more brave. And it just, it made the entire experience more fun. And, he was already, one of his best friends, David Collins, was also, not only was he in charge of the voice recording, but he also played proxy.
Mm-hmm.
So, he came, he was already extremely in the Star Wars universe. And it was also great because then, it just was easier to be introduced to, the artists and just to really feel like you had a connection when you were there, when we were all there, working on the project live. So, yeah, I mean, Sam is great. I would jump at the chance, I would absolutely adore the opportunity to work on his show. Again, it's the kind of thing that appeals to me. And more than anything, I would just love to work with him again. So, again, throwing that into the universe, hopefully that will come back around for us because we always have a good time together.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can get back together. If you both end up in Rebels somehow, that'd be very cool.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? I would love
They
that.
bring Starkiller
That would be
Maris
very
to
cool.
Rebels. That'd be awesome.
Completely right. How fun would that be? Oh my God, that would be so satisfying.
That's something that I know a lot of people, really want to see. I mean, Rebels and Force Unleashed have the same time period, so it would make sense if they're not going to make a video game, then throw them into Rebels. That would be perfect.
See, exactly. Hey, you're preaching to the choir. I'm totally on board with this idea.
Let's hope that Disney listens and Dave Filoni.
See, exactly.
I'm sure Dave will listen at least.
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Also, it's funny you mentioned David Collins since we'll be talking with him a little bit later.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, you will have to say hi from me because I adore him, and it's been way too long since we've seen each other.
Sure, we'll do. Alrighty. Final questions. We'll start with Marco.
Where do you draw most of your inspiration from, other voice actors or just anybody in general?
I don't draw most of my inspiration from specific people unless I look at a character.
Or who do you look up to? Maybe I should rephrase that. But
you mean in terms of voice work, or
yeah, or both? Yeah, I'd like to know both.
That's a great question, and sadly, it's one that I haven't spent much time focusing on my own. I'm sort of inspired just individually by unique performances, and certainly by working with people that I like that are exciting. Oh gosh, I can't believe that I'm going to forget her name right now. Susan Eisenberg, is that right?
Yes, she plays Shakti.
Yes, thank you. We were with the same agency for a while, and she is such a lovely person and just an amazing voice artist. And, she always inspired me because she's one of those people that she knows exactly what she does. She knows exactly, what she's strongest at, and she always delivers and does so in a way where she never has to prove anything. She just knows what she does. And, to be totally honest, I find that that's the case with all good artists across the board, whether that's in voice work or on screen. I just find that people that are really talented don't have to prove it. They just know it and have an easy confidence and are lovely to work with. So, that's what I always sort of aim for, is having these great artistic exchanges and just not only that, but the job should be fun. Right. So I never understand it when you meet people who are, having this great career, but they're miserable. That's totally crazy to me. So I'm also drawn to that. I'm just drawn to people who love what they do and are having, a really good time doing it. So, that's what always inspires me, is sort of even more than performance. It's just the people that are living a good life and are totally aware of, being grateful of the fun that they're having in their career.
Alrighty, Logan, your final question?
Let me see here. I've already got my questions out. How do you feel about the Clone Wars being canceled?
Of course it was a little heartbreaking, but, everything has an end. And it would be different if there wasn't something else coming along. But the fact that so instantaneously there was another project, that sort of takes away the sting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Alrighty then. My final question is how how much of the Clone Wars have you seen? Like, have you seen just the episodes you were in, or a few here and there? Like, I know Chris asked a similar question, but how much, let's say I have 108 episodes, how many do you think you've seen?
Oh gosh. I certainly haven't counted, but I would say maybe like 20.
Oh, that's good.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, because I have a lot of friends that have worked on the show, and I like to see their work. But I also, before I was working on the show, I wanted to make sure that I had a really strong feel for the types of deliveries that they want. Just the type of work, just the feel of the show. So I watched a lot before we recorded, and so yeah, I mean, that's sort of just a ballpark guess, but I've definitely seen a chunk of it.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Chris, your last question?
Yes, it's kind of a request, really. Our buddy who wasn't able to make it on today, his birthday is coming up, and we're wondering if you could wish Mike on the East Coast a happy birthday.
Sure. Is that what he goes by, Mike on the East Coast?
Well, I mean,
Right now he's New York Mike, but we just
Okay.
call him Mike.
Okay, well, I actually am gonna steal that. I'm gonna make that his nickname, as he's now New York Mike, aka Mike on the East Coast.
to be honest, I have no idea why I worded it like that.
Well, Mike, have a fantastic birthday, and I'm sorry that we missed you.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Very cool.
You
Um,
got it.
Alrighty, well, I guess we will end the recording. Thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
very
thank you guys for having me. The one last thing I'll throw out there is if anyone is interested in knowing more of my work, I've done several Star Wars projects, but I actually have oodles of things that I have worked on and am working on right now. And of course, I love the support and appreciate the fan community so much, and I would love it if you check it out. My website is adriennewilkinson.com. My Twitter is yo_AdrienneW. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me all over the place. But I've got lots of exciting stuff in the works. Genre projects and other projects, more voice work. I just completed. I'm playing, and I apologize if this is blasphemous, but I'm going to say it anyway. I just completed a feature-length pilot for a new Star Trek series where I play Captain Lexa Singh. And it's a captain unlike any you've ever seen, because she's an ass-kicking captain, and I'm really proud of the work. And just within a week or two, we should have a trailer out.
Ooh.
And I've been getting lots of crossover from Star Wars fans who have been seeing the images that we've released and are really excited about it, because
I might actually like that one.
I'm telling you, you should check it out. There's some really impressive stuff, and it's just the Star Trek people would kill me for saying this, but since I'm on your podcast, I will say it does have a bit of a Star Wars feel to me, in that it's so freaking cool. Like, it just feels it's a really sexy version of Star Trek, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So I hope you guys will check it out, and
definitely.
you can find everything at my website.
All right, I will put all the links to your
can link
Facebook and
that up,
Twitter in the description. So if you guys want to check that out, they will be in the description for her Twitter and Facebook and IMDb page and all that stuff. So I will include that. But yeah, just thank you very much for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
All right,
You too.
Thank you.
Bye. All rights belong to Disney and Lucasfilm or their respective copyright holders. This is a fan podcast, only meant for entertainment and information purposes. Head on over to StarWars.com for any official news, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, and the Force will be with you always.